Another cold morning. It is -9 when we were eating breakfast. I'm just gonna put in some more shavings in these. It helps so much to keep them clean and oh, burn, my hands are cold. Oh, burn. Oh, my fingers are cold. Alright, I think the rest are good. Okay. Look at what those stinker chickens did. These froze and then they ate them. Ugh, that's so frustrating. I need facial hair. Alright, here we are again in the goat barn for our daily encouragement chat.
The joys of winter!
But if they're freeze-dried, they'll wait for 25 years and we can still use them for Christmas presents.
So I am not behind at all. I need facial hair. My chin is cold. My lips are cold. Alright, here we are again in the goat barn for our daily encouragement chat. I was just thinking, this is what I'm ruminating on today, is how we're called to not grumble and complain. And as I look at the weather forecast for the next 10 days, it's easy for me to get a little grumbly because it's not looking good. It's almost full 10 days of just negative temperatures and it's not fun. It hurts and I stress about the animals being warm enough and it's just not fun to be that cold, and I've really got to guard my heart to not grumble and complain and have a bad attitude. I was just thinking that, Jesus, when he was fasting 40 days in the desert. I mean, can you imagine 40 days? That's amazing. But I guess I was just thinking that if that is when he says, man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. And here we are, we've cut out all snacks and between meals and after 6 o'clock and how it feels like, we feed ourselves to be healthy and to be alive. And yet we need God's word more than we need food. Like Jesus said to the woman at the well, if you knew the living water that I could offer you, you would never go thirsty again. And so when we're feasting on Jesus, when he is our bread and our water, our spirits are quenched, our spirits are full, and he will give us the life that we need. It's such a beautiful mystery. It's just so awesome to think about, I guess. I hope that you have been digging into your word more and just really thinking about all of this as well more. Let me know in the comments what you're reading right now and what you've been thinking about during the day as you go about your just daily life and how you're incorporating his word more intimately on a minute by minute basis. Let me know. The light jumped up like a pro just now. But what I can say is I needed my toe warmers from yesterday. I need those on today because it's much colder today. What was I thinking? Yesterday was warm compared to today. Brr!
Delcy was talking about the cores we're using. This is a core out of one of the bales I brought up to her today. It was bigger, but the deer decided last night they needed to eat on it too. You little guinea hoggers, did you guys have a nice warm snuggly night?
I feel like I've gotten to a point where it's going slower, and that's frustrating because I was making such good progress that was so visible. But now it's the hard part of figuring out what to do and how to do it when I really don't know exactly how I want it or what it's going to look like in the end. So I'm working on right here the frame around the window, and so I'm trying to figure out how wide I want it and all of that. And then once that's put up, then I'll be able to measure for my shelves right here. And those will take a bit too, because they're just kind of, they're a little more detailed than just a shelf. I'll show you what they look like. So I'm actually going to replicate what I did here on these shelves. I'm going to do 3 on that side as well. And so these are wider, and I like that look, but they're multifunctional as well because I can open them up and they are housing our plates and our bowls, and on the other side it'll be all of our Tupperware, because I got rid of all the shelves there that were full of Tupperware. I did a huge purging of Tupperware, and so everything I have will be able to fit on here, in here, and then we'll put glasses and things on the top. So anyways, it's gonna look like this. They're just gonna be not as long as over here, but they'll fit over there beside the window. But these are just a little bit more tricky to put together because of putting on the hinges and putting it all together. And then staining it, of course, too. And then the polyurethane that goes on top of that. That all just takes time. And I want progress right now fast. I'm happy with the way this turned out. I actually didn't know how I was going to do this. So right here, there was the sheetrock, and then the paneling that I used, and this was open, and I was like, well, I have to trim that. I don't know what to use. What do I use? So what I ended up doing was taking the boards that I used here and making a small little strip, a little over an inch, and all the way around here I just made my own little trim. And now I have my board here that I've cut. This is actually the top piece, but just to show you before I put it up, I'm going to stain this black to match everything else in here, and that will go all the way around, and that will be my trim. So slowly but surely I'm making progress. This is kind of slow and tedious, it felt like. I want to make fast progress. While I was snug and warm inside working on my kitchen project, the kids and Bill were outside in the very cold working on keeping the cows out of the straw and hay. This is what they were doing.
Well, we put snow fence around most of it with some panels for gates and to block the rest of it, so we'll see tomorrow if this keeps them out. All a drink. The joys of winter! Yeah, that's good.
There are days that it feels like all we do is chores. It's time for the evening chores. We have some pork fat here. We have, I don't know, how many pounds would this be? A lot. We've used a ton of it, but it finally did go a little bit bad. I mean, it's not like it's rancid, but it's just not fresh. And so the chickens love this. They just go to town, and it helps keep them warm. It gives them some protein and fat, and look at that. Happy chickies, huh? My trays are all ready to go. I'm gonna go put them in the freeze dryer, but I wanted to show this. These liners came in, they're silicone liners, and I hadn't been using them, and for the most part, I hadn't had any problems with things sticking. I mean, they stick a little bit, but it doesn't take much to get them off of the trays. But then I made marshmallows and then freeze dried them, and that was a big wreck. Like, they got stuck bad. But I really think these will just help things not get stuck and be easier to just get it all taken off the trays. So anyways, I'm gonna go and put these down in the basement in the freeze dryer to be ready for what we're about to do. We have a lot of eggs. I've been mentioning about my eggs, and Bill and I right now are going to work on filling the freeze dryer with all the eggs, or we're going to actually see how many actually fit in the trays in the freeze dryer and try to get rid of these eggs and get them so that they're put away in jars. So let's start the project. I'm using my Ninja here, so we're going to fill it so it is just a little bit above this top blade here. That seemed to be what fit nicely in one tray, and we'll count how many eggs. I was going to show you though, this is the freeze-dried eggs that I've already done. Now these were going to be Christmas presents, but I can't get my act together, so they are now New Year's presents to some family and friends. So,
but if they're freeze-dried, they'll wait for 25 years, and we can still use them for Christmas presents.
So I am not behind at all. So isn't it beautiful though? I mean, look at this. And look at that color. Isn't that gorgeous? And like Bill said, this will last for 25 years. And they reconstitute like they're just, like you just whipped them up fresh. So it's pretty cool. Let's get some more made. So it looks like about 30 eggs fit into one tray. So it'll be about 150 eggs that we'll be putting in. The sad thing is that they won't be frozen. And so it does take a long time for them to freeze and then to go through the process. And last time it took over 40 hours for them to freeze dry. So that is a long time. But all these shells, we'll smash them up and we'll give them to the chickens. And now with my Ninja here, I'm going to just spin it real quick to scramble them. And then I'm going to go downstairs and pour them into the trays. Now that's the big key, is you do not want to pour them into the trays upstairs or wherever you do it in your kitchen and then transport them to the freeze dryer. It'll be a big mess. So put the trays in the freeze dryer and then pour them in from there. So the eggs are in, and I got 100 in there. I thought I'd get a little bit more. I was trying to squeeze in, or I thought I could squeeze in more than I could. So it's actually 100 eggs that we put in here. So it did make a pretty big dent. We have a lot more to go, but we'll get those in the next couple days. Well, here we are at the end of the day, and I guess honestly I'm feeling like, oh, I didn't get as much done as I wanted. It's not as noticeable, although I worked all day on this, getting it repainted. I had to do the second coat, and then I had to get the trim done, and then I had to paint the window, and then I cut the frame for the window, and it's stained, and then I've been putting on, I think I've so far maybe done 4 or 5 stains of polyurethane. I'll do at least 1, maybe 2 more. And I wanted the trim on, but by morning I'll be able to get the trim on. So I guess here I'm at the end of the day. I'm feeling like I wanted to do more. But I'm also feeling and realizing that, we had dinner about a little bit before 6, and we had some yummy soup, some bean and ham soup, and that was really good. But here we are. I don't even know what time it is. So it's about 9:30, and I'm really hungry. So that the meal didn't really stick with me as long as the other meals have. But I'll still have my vitamin tonight before bed, and that kind of gives me a little bit in my tummy. But we had just a good night tonight. Bill and I worked on the eggs together, and a lot of times in the evening we actually don't. We kind of go do our own thing, and so that was nice to spend that time together and work on something. So I guess we've just been trying to be very conscious of what we're thinking about, what we're talking about. At dinner, we talked about, what God was speaking to us through the day, what maybe we were reading in the Bible, and different things like that, and bringing in the kids into it. And I think that's always really good. So I'm excited to see what tomorrow brings and how far I can get in this process, in the kitchen, getting more and more done. You have no idea how relieved I am that this is looking like it is. It's been in such disarray and such a mess for so long that it's just such a relief to get this done. So that's really good. I really hope you've had a great day today. Again, I just want to encourage you, no matter when you're, where you're at in the day, if you're at breakfast, lunch, or dinner, watching this, maybe you can pull out your Bible and just read a few passages. If you're just in the middle of your day, I hope this has encouraged you to look up, to look at the stars and not the bars. If you're on my email list, you know what I'm talking about. I send out an email that I always have to remind myself about that. So I just hope that you're feeling just loved and cherished right now. And I'm so grateful for you. And I know that you are here for a reason. You are made on purpose, and God has a specific calling and purpose for you. And so I just hope you're feeling that right now. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.